Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at lesson 27, graphing and solving compound inequalities. If you're in Ms. Drake's class, we are on page 15 in the Unit 3 packet. So work on the do now, and I will post a picture of the answer key in the directions to the lesson, and now we'll get started on the first example. So solving compound inequalities doesn't really have any new steps to solving regular inequalities, but a compound inequality has more than inequality at the same time. So the first example we're going to do is an end statement inequality. So when we have an end statement, remember we have an x with two inequality symbols in between two numbers. Okay, so I call this a mega inequality. So we have two symbols. When you normally solve an inequality, you have one inequality symbol and you have one set of railroad tracks. Since we have two inequality symbols, we are going to use two sets of railroad tracks. So one at that inequality symbol and one at this inequality symbol. Our goal is still the same, to isolate this x by itself. Okay, so what is going on in this section with the x? Let's see, we have a coefficient of 2, that's multiplication, and we have a plus 1. So which operation will we undo first? We would undo addition with the inverse or opposite, which is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 1 here. And usually when we do an inverse operation, we do it to both sides of an equation or inequality. But now there's 3 sides instead of 2. So since I subtract 1 here, I also want to subtract 1 here and here. So I'm actually doing it in 3 places instead of just 2. So what is negative 5 minus 1? Negative 6. Bring down your inequality sign, so bring down your less than sign. 1 minus 1 cancels, so I'll bring down my 2x. Bring down your less than sign, and then 4 minus 1 is 3. Okay, so now take a look at your x in the middle. I want to get rid of that coefficient of 2, so I want to use the opposite operation. When you have a 2 in front of an x, what operation is that? Multiplication. So you want to use the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So we're going to divide this by 2, which means we also have to divide both of these sides by 2 as well. So basically divide everything by 2. Okay, the 2 and the 2 cancel, so I'm left with x in the middle. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. I didn't divide by a negative, so I can just bring my inequality signs down. Oop. There's the bell. Bring down your less than sign, and then bring down this less than sign. And then what is 3 divided by 2? It's not divisible, so you could either write it as a fraction or a decimal. So you could write it as 3 over 2 or as 1.5. Okay, so here's my answer. Negative 3 is less than x is less than 1.5. And that's it. Now we're going to transfer that to a number line. Because it's an end statement, that means I want x to be all the numbers between negative 3 and 1.5. Because I have two less than signs, there's no equal signs, that means I'm going to have open circles at both ends. So when you create your number line, just make sure you're including the numbers negative 3, and then 1.5 will be halfway between 1 and 2. So you definitely want to go somewhere between like negative 3 and 2. So I'm going to start at negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. So the negative 3 has an open circle because of the symbol right here. So open circle. Okay. And then the 1.5 will also have an open circle. So here's 1, here's 2, 1.5 will be halfway between. And then we want to shade between the two numbers. There you go. Okay, so that was an end statement. So it's written as one big inequality. We isolate the x, and then whenever we get as our answer, we end up shading between those 2 points. So x really can be anything between negative 3 and 1.5, but not including the 2 endpoints. Let's take a look at a compound inequality that has the word or. When we have the word or, we usually won't be set up as one big inequality. It's two separate inequalities with the word or in between. So we're going to solve each one separately, just like we would solve a regular inequality. So my goal is to get the x by itself for this inequality. Let's see, I have variables on both sides, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. The 2x and the 2x cancel. 5x minus 2x is 3x is less than or equal to 21. And then I need to get rid of that 3, so I'll divide both sides by 3. And x is less than or equal to 7. Okay, so that's one of the inequalities. Now I have to solve the other one. So let's see, I have 3 parentheses, x plus 1, close parentheses, greater than or equal to 27. So first thing I want to do is distribute that 3. So I have 3x plus 3 times 1 is 3 is greater than or equal to 27. Okay, now I want to get that x by itself, so use inverse operations just like you did up here. I'll subtract 3 from both sides. So 3x is greater than or equal to 24. Sorry, there's the bell again. And divide both sides by 3. X is greater than or equal to 8. So remember, this was an or statement, so when I rewrite my answer, x is less than or equal to 7, or x is greater than or equal to 8. So when I create my number line, remember, end statements, you shade in between the two numbers, or statements, you're shading both on the same line. Usually it's shading out from the two endpoints. So as long as you have 7 and 8 on your number line, you're good. I will start with 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then I want a open or closed circle at the 7. We have an equal sign, so you want a closed circle. And shade to the, hopefully you said left. Shade to the left. Okay, and then take a look at this one. Do I have an open or a closed circle at the 8? A closed circle. And then which direction should I shade? To the right. There we go. So again, just to review, the first one was an end statement, so we solved and then shaded between the two numbers. Number 2 was an or statement, so we solved both separately and then graphed each one on the number line. Okay, when you turn the page, there are 4 practice problems for you to try. I will post the answer key for you to check your work. And then once you check your work, you know you did okay, you can try the homework questions and input your answers on Canvas.